QC tool. Control chart. So what do you what do you know about control chart? Before I conduct the session and tell the details about control chart, let us have 2 minutes of discussion. What are all you know about control chart? Are you using control chart? Just tell me your experience. If you are using control chart, and how do you use? What kind of control chart do you use? Let us have some discussion, and then we will start from the fundamentals of control chart, right? Everything from the basics.
Yes, sir. Can I?
Yes, yes, Sanjay, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm using the I chart, individual control chart, individual value control chart, what we call I chart.
IMR.
I chart.
Okay, I chart you are using.
I chart is just IMR is just integration of a moving range and individual control chart. So first one,
Individual chart. Okay, for what kind of
individual
characteristics
chart
you use? You are monitoring.
So that to identify the special causes from the process. One is a purpose is monitoring. Then second one is identify the special causes from the process based on the plus minus 3 sigma.
That's fine. I want to know what is that characteristics you monitor over a control chart. Is it dimension or is it something else?
This is a weight, sir. Weight, raw material weight.
Why do you take?
So
what is the
different kind of raw materials we have to use?
Yeah. Can you tell me why do you just take one sample?
Our raw material. Why we take the one sample? Okay, because the inspection is 100% and there is no sampling. So everything what is being measured, it is being recorded in the system. That's why we are using the individual control charts. This is not like a group wise. It's 100% inspection.
No, you mean to say that means every component weight is monitored?
Yes, correct.
So then automatically it becomes individual. All right, I understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Sometimes maybe test may be destructive. You may not take more samples, and that could be reason. So in your case, it is 100% monitoring, and so you are going for
individual. So that each can be that visualizer, each measurement.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Sir, is it like a control plan for monitoring the process of individual part and to track the dimensions, frequency of checking, all these things?
Correct. Yes, control chart we can use to monitor a process. We can use to understand whether our results are consistently same. Correct. Anyone else would like to share your experience about control chart?
In my previous experience, one of the furnace, we have 7 kind of thermocouples we used.
Okay.
And we capture the point of different temperature of the furnace. We used to continuously monitor the temperature of the furnace.
Okay.
Actually, we used to manufacture the blades of the aero engines.
All right. So temperature is an important, is a critical
it's
factor.
It is a high critical factor.
So which control chart you used?
It's I forgot.
Okay. Where there are different types of control chart there. So we are going to learn everything. All right.
Audio input.
Okay. So anything else you wanted to inform me about your background of control chart? Or any specific thing you want to learn from the session? What is that you are really interested to learn from a control chart, the tool control chart?
How to select,
how to arrive at the specific our control limits, sir. That what ideal procedure we should to follow. If you can guide on that.
How to draw the control limits?
Yes, sir. How to draw the effective control limits?
Yes. Control limit calculation. That's all. How to calculate the control limit so that you yourself can draw the control limit using your own pen.
Right. That also, or in the Minitab also, we can follow.
Understand. So after the session, I will give one assignment where all of you can draw a control chart yourself, right? I'll share the data. You can use a graph sheet. draw the control chart, calculate the control limit, and then draw it for yourself. Then that will get clarified. And one more
Alright.
question
And
somebody asked.
also,
Hmm.
and also best, and also how master we can select the control chart. There
Yes,
is
yes.
a different kind
Very
of
good.
selection of
Control chart
chart.
selection. Control chart selection is purely based on data type, purely based on subgroup size. That's all. Data type and subgroup size. We already discussed both. Data type we mastered. Subgroup size means the number of samples you take at a time. So these two things decide the selection of control chart. Yes.
Sir, mainly it's once we decided this will be the control plan and control chart, but main factor is to implement it in our daily process consistently. So how will maintain that? So that is also important. How will you implement that limit?
Yes. So if you are having the habit of monitoring your critical factor using a control chart, later on it becomes a habit. Gradually it will become your habit because you know certain factors are very critical for your result. So you will monitor. And all the habits, if you document it, that becomes a knowledge for the following generation. You pass on the knowledge in a proper set of documentation. That is called a control plan. Like for example, we all of us lead a disciplined life. Am I right? We all lead a discipline. Where from we learned all these things?
From our parents.
Yes, from our parents and elders. They know you must marry only one girl, and there are so many rules, right? So all these all these rules are now are guiding us towards success. Same way, if you have the habit of monitoring the critical factors in using a control chart, all your learnings, you pass it to the next generation. What do you call it? Control plan. So control plan is mainly based on your knowledge you gained while monitoring the critical factor. And if see whatever critical issues you handle in your life, will you not teach to your kids? You will tell them, right? So then if they simply follow your all the tips you are giving to your child, they will know they'll be highly successful. There won't be any much of disappointment. So same thing you need to do in the control phase. That is called control plan. Very good. Thank you for sharing beautiful information with me. So that helped me to understand clearly your requirements from this module control chart. So I'll try my best to do it and make it as interesting as possible. Slideshow. Present. Okay. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Right. Straight away, I'll play a video. You can watch this and confirm me on the audio also. I have not checked. Frito-Lay. What is the control chart they have plotted? Did you notice the kind of control chart what they are plotting?
IXMR.
It's IXMR, no?
Individual, sir.
No.
X bar R.
Very good. They plotted X bar R chart. They plotted X bar R chart. Why do they plot control chart? Or tell me the characteristics they were monitoring in the control chart. What are the characteristics they were measuring?
Salt content. Salt content.
One is salt content. Is that salt content needs to be the same level in all the chips packet? Is it required?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, what will happen?
Test will
Number
vary.
business.
Otherwise, there will be lot of complaints you will start receiving, isn't it? Every day you will get lot of complaints. It is too salty, and somebody will say there is no salt. So many complaints will come. So they know salt content is very critical. So they are monitoring. And then number two, the thickness. isn't it? The thickness gives the crispiness. The thickness, is also required to keep it, in an unbroken condition. There are certain things. And so thickness and then salt content, these are two important characteristics. Definitely they are CTQs. Definitely they are CTQs, critical to quality characteristics. And so they were monitoring. And while measuring the salt content, did you observe they are following a specific procedure? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is that if you are given a chance to monitor the process, is it necessary you should also follow the same process?
Yeah, this is very
Yes, sir.
necessary.
Very important. That is called what? Operational definition. That is called operational definition. If there is no operational definition, if you ask me to check the salt content, what will I do? I will eat 2-3 chips and then say salt is okay. Right? So we have to check this characteristics in a specific way. It's a common procedure. What we call it, operational definition. So you have when you are working with the control chart, all these things are important. And also the sample size is also important. Sample size and frequency of sampling. Right? You have seen them collecting their wafers, and once in every batch a particular quantity. So all these knowledge, when you pass it to the next generation, that is called control plan. And also there are two charts they are plotting, X bar chart and R chart. Why two charts are required? Why not plot only one chart and then leave the other one? Like our Sanjay also told, sir, I plot only individual chart, nothing else. Similarly, why not I just plot X bar chart and keep quiet? Why should I require an R chart also along with it?
If we plot only X bar
Reproduce.
chart, so one issue is that only we are taking the mean value only. For example, 5 sample or 3 sample or whatever. But
Okay.
in our chart, we can see the actual range, what is coming out.
That's what average chart means. Mean only you are monitoring. Range chart means range only you are monitoring. My question is, why do you want to monitor both together? Why not we settle with X bar chart? Or why not we settle with just a range chart? Take anyone. Why do you want both?
If we don't monitor the range chart or X, for example, if we talk about the only range chart, R chart, so it will give the actual what is the max and what is the minimum. So how this difference is coming? So if we don't know that the X bar chart will nullify because of the average. That's why we have to see that also. In my opinion, sir, I don't know actually.
All right, no problem. Nothing. You're right only. Nothing to worry. See, what is the practical implication? Suppose my range chart is not in control. How it will affect my business? Range chart is not under control. So how my business is going to be affected? What is that range called? Range is nothing but the difference in the salt content. Difference in the salt content within a particular batch. Am I right? See,
Yes,
in a day you produce lot of chips packet, and then throughout the day you took samples, and then you have so many reading. And then every batch of sample you take, you calculate the range, and then you monitor it. You want the range to be under control. That means the range chart monitor the within batch variation. Do you remember we discussed within standard deviation? Same way here, they are studying within batch variation. Within batch variation is monitored in our chart. If within batch variation is under control, all the chips you are supplying under a specific batch will have the same taste, For example, I produce a batch of chips and the entire batch I am sending to a city. Let us say I am sending to Bangalore. And now how many packets of chips will be there inside the batch? Several thousands, several million. So several thousand people are going to taste my chips. All several thousand people will experience the same taste. What is that metric that is helping us to understand that all my customers in Bangalore are experiencing the same taste? The within batch variation. If the within batch variation is less, everybody will have same taste. If the within batch variation is too much, somebody will receive a salty chips, somebody will receive a medium one, somebody will receive without any salt. So this problem will come, right? So that is the reason why we monitor the within batch variation. All of you understand what is within batch variation?
Yes, sir.
Next batch goes to Delhi. And now when your R chart is under control, what does it mean? All the people in Delhi are going to have the same experience with your chips, right? Are going to have same. And then the third batch comes to Chennai. And now Chennai people are going to have same experience. If R chart is not under control, within one batch you have sent to Chennai, let us say for the Chennai batch, the R chart is not under control. You will receive lot of complaints from all over Chennai. You will start receiving lot of complaints from all over Chennai. Because the within batch variation is too much. So within Chennai, the taste will differ. So that's why we always want R chart to be under control. And now imagine R chart is under control. That means same experience, same taste in Chennai, same taste in Bangalore, same taste in Delhi. I'm only saying that same taste. I'm not saying that it is good taste, right? Same taste. But is that you want all the three cities to have the good taste or bad taste? That is
Good
also
taste, sir.
important.
All should be same.
Yeah, I want the good taste to be, there in all the three cities. That is what you are monitoring in X bar chart. Because X bar is the central tendency. What is central tendency? What is the targeted salt content? What is the targeted salt content? So if the salt content is, is close to the targeted value in all the three cities, all of them will have a good taste. If suppose the X bar chart is going out of control, what will happen? See, X bar, is called between batch variation. X bar is called between batch variation, isn't it? So the average of first batch, average of second batch, average of third batch, that we are monitoring. So this is called batch to batch variation. If the batch to batch variation is different, then the taste what you are experiencing in Chennai may be different from the taste what you are experiencing in Bangalore and similarly what you are experiencing in Delhi. I expect the taste to be same among all the cities. So that's why we require the X bar chart also. Right. All right. So now let us learn this control chart, right?
So can I say that it is also reflects the reproducibility?
Yes, it's something like repeatability and reproducibility. Your repeatability is within variation. Within the appraiser is repeatability. Between the appraiser is reproducibility. Same way, within the batch is R chart. Between the batch is X bar chart. Very correctly said.
Okay.
So today we will understand the difference between common cause variation and special cause variation. And then we will understand how to plot a control chart for variable data and also how to plot control chart for attribute data. Attribute data, otherwise you call it discrete data, right? And then we will also see how to plot the control chart using Minitab, because Minitab will throw away the control chart within a minute, right? And how to plot and interpret control chart and how to detect the special causes. Some testing is there, some rules are there, that also we'll see. So this is how a typical control chart will look like. It will have three lines. There is a center line. There will be a line above the center line and there will be a line below the center line. The above and below, they are called control limits. Upper control limit, the above line is called upper control limit. The below line is called lower control limit. And the distance of the upper control limit will be 3 sigma units from the center. 3 sigma units above the center, you will have upper control limit. 3 sigma units below the center, you will have lower control limit. This control chart is also called as Shewhart chart because it is Walter Shewhart who introduced the tool in 1920 when he was working in Bell's Laboratories in USA. He introduced this tool called control chart. If you, in any control chart, if you get all your points getting plotted inside the control limit, the process is considered to be under statistical control. If you get all the points inside the control limit, the process is considered to be statistical control. Statistical control means process is stable. Stable means results are consistently same. Stable means results are consistently same. Please note, control chart is telling you only whether your results are consistent or not, because we are judging the performance only using control limit, not using specification limit. If you bring the specification limit also here, then you can comment on the capability. But now only having a control chart, you can comment only on the consistency, comment only on the statistical control, comment only on the stability. Is it statistical control, gaining statistical control, is it so important? Definitely important. Suppose if you are given a job to teach a set of students, set of 100 students are there. You have to improve the performance of the students. Now tell me, is it important for you to have control over the students? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
If you have control over the students, students will come and sit inside the classroom. If you have control over the students, students will pay attention to you. If you have control over the students, they will take notes. If you have control over the students, they will do all the homework and everything. Then their performance will improve. Suppose imagine you are a teacher, you don't have all this control, but you are doing your job beautifully. You are delivering the lecture beautifully, you are teaching them beautifully, nicely, but there is no control over the students. Do you think the students' performance will improve?
No, sir.
But you are doing your job best. Same thing will happen. Even if you do your job best, if you fail to maintain your process under statistical control, right? You have done your job best, but result will still be worst. This is one big reason. Most of the time companies are not able to, improve the results because they were working on a process which is out of statistical control. Is that clear? The process is out of statistical control, but you are trying to improve the process. Yes, your effort is good, but nothing will improve on the other side. First thing you need to do is, if students are not coming sitting in your class, what should you do? You must make them sit in the class. Once you get all the students sitting inside the class, now you improve your teaching. So control is important prior to improvement, right? No control, no improvement. So that is the main requirement of gaining statistical control. Generally, there are three purposes why we use control chart. Number one, we want to monitor the stability. Stability means just now we spoke the statistical control, whether process is statistically controlled or not. If my process is statistically in control, what does it mean? The process is giving me a signal, I am ready for improvement, right? If the students are on time sitting in your class, what does it mean? They are eager to learn from you, right? And that's an indication. Same way, if you get your control chart, all the points inside the control limit, the process is telling you, I am ready for next level of performance. Only if the process is ready for next level of performance, your efforts will produce result, right? And then third use of control chart is, you can use the control chart to demonstrate improved performance. How an improved performance will look like from the old performance. In the old process, there could be points outside the control limit, like the one I have shown you. You see, this process is statistically out of control. When you actually control the process and then improve the process, you know what will happen? You will see all the points falling inside. Can you use this visual clue to convince your boss? It is very easy, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you see, how is the process before I joined the company? Now I have taken the responsibility last 6 months. Now you see the same process. How is it looking like? So that means you can use the control chart to demonstrate an improved performance. It can be used as a visual validation tool, because generally people believe what they see. Even if you tell 100 times, they will not believe. But if you show a picture, they will immediately believe, right? So control chart can be used as a visual validation tool. And now we need to understand the difference between common cause and special cause. So imagine all of you are going to your office by a two-wheeler, in a two-wheeler. On an average, it takes 40 minutes for you. On an average, it takes 40 minutes for you to reach the office, right? And I am monitoring your driving time. Now, what is the operational definition? Driving time. The moment you start your bike or the moment you come out of your house, and then you enter your office and register your attendance, the time is called your time, the traveling time or driving time. For 1 week, I am measuring your time. These are my readings: 40, 42, 38, 41, and 39 minutes. Now tell me, do you see a variation in the number?
Yes.
There is
Yes,
a
sir.
variation. And I am worried about the variation because somewhere I studied that variation is a problem. In Six Sigma training, we understood variation is a problem. So I am just asking you, why there is a variation? I am asking you, see, one day you came 41 minutes, you took 41 minutes. What is your regular time? Regular time is 40 minutes. But today what happened? You took 41 minutes. When I ask you the question, what is the reason for consuming extra 1 minute? Tell me, will you be able to answer my question?
No.
What, sir? What kind of question you are asking? I really cannot answer this question. Even if you come, you drive my bike, then also it will be 41 minutes and 30. So whenever you can't explain the reason for the variation, whenever you cannot explain the reason for variation, such variation are called common cause variation. You don't have to worry about common cause variation. If somebody comes like this, for example, your child is coming from school like this. If you every day, if you ask your child, why are you 1 minute late? Why are you 1 minute earlier? Do you think that next day the child will come to your house? Will stop coming to your house, isn't it? So this will become unnecessary effort. So no action is required. So that is the common cause variation. You don't have to worry much. Leave it. This is quite normal. Common cause means it is quite normal. And another day, you reached office in just 25 minutes. Now I am asking you, why are you, how did you come to the office in just 25 minutes? Now tell me, will you be able to answer my question now?
Yes.
Yes.
Probably the answer could be,
I
what could be
came
the answer?
to my
Race
boss
driving.
BMW.
Come again?
Not came with bike. Came with the boss BMW car.
Oh,
Race driving.
right. So there is a special reason, right? Why did you reach the office so early? That particular day is a lockdown day. There is no traffic on the road. So generally it takes 40 minutes, but that particular day, you could reach office in 25 days. So now the reason for the variation is a special reason. We call it special cause. We call it special cause. How do you recognize the variation is due to special cause? The number what you observed is far away from the average. Am I right? The number what you observed is far away from the average. Whenever the number what you observe is far away from the average, you can understand the source of variation is a special cause. Is that clear? So the number can let you understand whether the variation is common cause variation or special cause variation. Another day, it took 55 minutes. What is this? Is it a common cause variation or special cause variation?
Special cast.
Patient.
Because there was raining on that particular day. So you have to slow down a lot. And then you took that extra 15 minutes. So it is 55 minutes. And another day, you took 1 hour 40 minutes. Now, is it a common cause or special cause?
Special cast.
Special cause.
Patient.
Special cause. Because that particular day on the way, you met your girlfriend. So you decided to spend 1 hour in a coffee shop. So that becomes a reason for very special cause, right? So now you understand the difference between common cause variation and special cause variation. Common cause means all the numbers are around the average only, right? All the numbers are around the average means it is common cause. But if the number is far away from the average, definitely the reason is special cause. Clear?
Clear.
Yes, sir.
This is common cause, this is special cause, and this is also special cause, and this is definitely very special cause for you. All right. And now similarly, And imagine a process. See here, somebody in a bank is submitting an application and he is putting a signature. I'm just playing the video. So he has signed the document and you are the manager in the bank, and the output of the signature process is, outputs are like this. And now do you see a variation in the signature?
Yes, sir.
There is a variation. And what is your opinion? Is it a variation is common cause or special cause?
It's a common cause.
Common cause, because even if you sign 3 times, there will be some variations, right? So this is common cause. That means you will accept the application and then, you will proceed. Same way, if it is a check, a signature on the check, all the 3 checks will be passed because it's minor variation. You don't have to worry much and you don't have to react much. Leave it. It is quite normal. And now let me run another process. And now the process is over. And this is the kind of output. And now do you notice a variation in the process?
Yes, sir.
And now what is this variation? Common cause or special cause?
Special cause.
What is the special cause you observed in the video?
The kid is interfering him while he was signing.
Very good. And now I want to improve the output. That means I want the signature of process 2 to become like process 1. Unless and until I prevent the child from disturbing the signing process, will I be able to improve the signature?
No, sir.
Sure, sir.
Definitely you can't improve, right? All your efforts will definitely fail. For example, you are changing the pen, you are changing the table, you are changing the notebook. Do you think that will help you improve the result? Unless and until you prevent the special cause, result will not improve. Same thing will happen in your business process also. So that is why statistical control is the beginning point of your success. If you are not able to gain statistical control, and you are not going to improve your results. So SPC should happen prior to improvement. All right. So another clip for you. Watch this also.
You and turn into
The electromagnetic waves, right? Is generally there will be up and down motion. We call it the random movement. This is called Brownian motion, or you call it random motion. Always there will be some random motion up and down. And now what happened? Do you see the time the ball crosses the bat? Do you see a peak getting developed here in the graph? Do you see a graph peak?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So when it is a random motion, it will go up and down, but the point at which the ball is crossing the bat, you are seeing a peak. So what does it tells you when you could see a peak? Is it meaning the ball has made contact with the bat?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
As the ball makes contact, yes, the sound will be generated. When the sound is generated, the amplitude will go up. So this particular graph is helping you to understand a special event. The ball has made the contact, and so the decision is arrived. The batsman is declared out. Same way, you can get signals about all the special disturbances that can happen in your business process. Right? Whenever a special disturbance happens, you will see your kind of point, at least 1 point from your control limit going far away from the average. All right. So upper control limit and lower control limit, I'm just drawing. You see exactly the moment ball crosses the bat, you are seeing the point. You are seeing the curve going beyond the control limit. So clearly telling that it's a special cause. This is upper control limit and this is your lower control limit. So this knowledge we are going to use. So basically there are 2 types of variation. One is common cause variation. Another one is special cause variation. A process that is operating with only common cause variation, or you call it chance cause variation, is said to be in statistical control. right? And common cause, random cause, normal cause, unassignable cause, chance cause, these are all one and same. You use any word you want. All of them are meaning the same, no, same meaning. However, a process that is operating in the presence of assignable cause is said to be an out of control process. You can use the word assignable, or you can use the word special, you can use the word non-random or non-normal. These are all no one and same. Right. So first requirement is stability. Ensuring stability. All the efforts you are doing to achieve a stable result. What you are achieving today, you will be able to achieve tomorrow also. You will be able to achieve day after tomorrow also. That is called statistical process control. If you can achieve stable result, definitely you can improve result, right? So statistical process control means you must put all efforts to get all the points falling randomly inside control limit. Everything is important. You should not only get all the points, you should get all the points falling randomly inside control limit. And so stability is achieved. Stability is like foundation of the building and no compromise on the foundation. And this is what control chart is helping you do. Control chart is helping you to build stability in your business result. Once stability is built, you can improve the capability, right? You can scale up your business and all that can happen. And scaling up the business, you call it process improvement. Process improvement means there are two things you will be doing. One is you can improve the process or you can improve the results by moving the center line towards the target. By moving the center line towards the target. Another way you can improve your result is you can move the control limit towards the center. Both will improve your business result. Center line can be moved towards the target. Otherwise, control limit can be moved towards the center. Both will improve your business result because customer satisfaction will improve. This is what we are measuring in terms of sigma level or other metrics. So a process is under statistical control. A process which is under statistical control will have common cause variation, random variation, unassignable cause of variation, or all are correct. What is your answer?
All are correct.
All are correct.
Process is under statistical control means there is only common cause variation. That means there is only random variation. That means unassignable. Unassignable means unexplainable. If you can't explain, just leave it. An out of control process will always have
Special cause variation.
all of you agree with the answer of Trilochan?
Yes.
Both.
Sir, both.
Both common cause and special cause variation. See, will you be able to eliminate special cause variation? If you improve the process, you can eliminate the special cause. But will you be able to eliminate the common cause?
Not
No,
possible.
sir.
Not possible.
Not possible.
So any process will always have common cause. So even an out of control process will have both common cause and special cause. So the answer 3 is correct. We can always improve a process which is statistically out of control. Do you believe in the statement?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We can always improve a process which is statistically out of control.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can improve, sir.
You mean to say students are not under your control, still you will improve the performance of the students.
Yes.
How?
No, we have to eliminate, sir. We have to eliminate the special causes.
Right. So this statement is false. If the process is statistically out of control, your first goal is building stability, not improving the result. Clear? Your first goal should be gain the statistical control. Don't target for improving the result. Target for stabilizing the result. After stabilizing only, you can think of targeting. If a process is statistically out of control, what should be your immediate goal? SPC or improvement?
SPC.
Statistical process control. Gain the control. That is your goal. When the control is gained, then improvement can be your goal. Beautiful. Now we are moving on to a case study. See, there are a lot of data collected here. Data collected, and these data are nothing but dimension of a product. Dimension of a product. Or you can take it like whatever number you generally see in your process. For some of you, it may be a processing time. Some of you, it may be chemical concentration. For some of you, it could be the dimension, right? And actually, the example is from an automobile industry, a camshaft. In a camshaft, the length of the camshaft is important. So your data collection plan is every day from all the 4 shifts, you want to collect the data. Every day from all the 4 shifts, you want to collect the data because you don't know where from the problem comes. Whether the problem comes only from shift number 1 or only from night shift, you don't know. So you are collecting data from all the shift. And from each shift, you collect 5 samples. Each shift, you collect 5 samples. That means in a day, data is collected 4 times. And every time you collect the data, you collect 5 data. That means 20 data you collect every single day. Same way you repeat it for 5 days. Totally how many data is there? 100 data. Every single day at a time, if you collect 5 data, the 5 data together is called a subgroup. The 5 data together is called a subgroup. So totally how many subgroups you see here?
5.
In each shift.
Hey,
See,
So 25.
No, 20.
Sorry.
20 subgroup. Yes.
5, 4 and 20.
Yeah. Day 1, subgroup 1, you have 5 data. Day 1, subgroup 2, you have another 5 data. Right? Similarly, there are 20 subgroups. And the subgroup size is 5. Why do I call it subgroup size as 5? Every time you go for data collection, you bring 5 data. So your subgroup size is 5. Is that clear up to this? Now,
Sir, this sample collection is there, no? Like it will be based on like a random sampling. We should take 5, or what will be the ideal way, sir?
see, sampling technique. You are talking about sampling technique.
Yeah.
There is no rigid rule. You
Okay.
follow random sample. There is no rigid rule. You follow systematic sample. You follow stratified sample. You follow cluster sample.
Okay.
It depends on the situation.
Okay.
For example, I have a clue that problem comes only from night shift.
Okay.
So now, will you collect data from day shift also?
Yes. Both is to analyze, no?
No. See, if you want to prove that data is problem is only from night shift, then you can collect the data from day shift and you can collect data from night shift, and then you can prove problem comes only from night shift.
Yes. Yes.
So for proving your belief, you can collect data. And for solving the problem, will you collect data from day shift, or will you collect data from night shift, or will you again collect data from both the shift?
Again, night shift. Night shift is correct.
Because already you narrowed down. Problem is only from night shift. And hereafter, I no need to collect data from day shift. Already ruled out, isn't it? You did a study. Now all my sample will come only from night shift. Why? Because problem is only in night shift. So your sampling technique should take you to the root of the problem.
Okay.
Right? You can be a single technique, or it can be a combination of multiple technique, or it can be altogether a new technique designed by you.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you only know the problem better, isn't it?
Yes.
No other in the world knows your problem. Only you know your problem better.
Yes.
All right. So study all the sampling technique, but which sampling technique will work for you? Only you have to make a judgment.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Thank
Clear?
you.
So now,
clear.
now the characteristics which we want to monitor here is length of the camshaft. Now, length of the camshaft is continuous data or discrete data?
continuous.
Continuous.
Continuous data. And the subgroup size is 5. Whenever you are plotting a control chart for continuous data and subgroup size is less than 8, you must go for X bar R chart. You must go for X bar R chart. When subgroup size is more than 8, you must go for X bar S chart. right? Because as the sample size increases, you can use standard deviation to measure the variation. The number of samples are less, you can use range as the measure of variation. That's why the difference, right? Less than 8, it is range. More than 8, it is standard deviation. When the subgroup size is 1, like Sanjay was telling, sir, I collect only 1. My sample size is 1 only always. Then you go for individual moving range chart, IMR chart. Clear? Subgroup size 1, IMR chart. Subgroup size from 2 to 8, range chart. More than 8, X bar S chart. And now these are the steps of plotting a control chart. Have a sampling plan, like sampling technique, sample size, and all that you can have. And all of you studied central limit theorem.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What is it saying?
Yes.
Central limit theorem is telling you that the distribution of sample averages will follow normal distribution with adequate number of samples, right? So now,
Yes.
now our subgroup size is 5, but we plot the average of the subgroup in a control chart. So average of the subgroup will definitely follow normal distribution, and this understanding on the central limit theorem will help you to reduce sample size. Will help you to reduce sample. Even with the fewer samples, you can get your curve normally distributed, and then you can do predictions, right? And that's the reason. And now sample size is 5, and frequency of sampling is 5 per shift and 4 shifts per day. And then you actually collect the sample. Then compute the X bar. What is X bar? All 5 data you add, divide by 5. And then this is the formula. And then compute the range. Range means every subgroup you calculate one range. Maximum minus minimum. So how many range you will get here in this problem? How many
20.
range?
20 range.
20 ranges you will get. Similarly, 20 averages you will get. These 20 points you have to plot over a control chart. 20 points in the X bar chart and 20 points in the range chart. So what will you plot in the range chart? There were 20 ranges. What will you plot in the X bar chart? 20 averages. Very good. And now compute X double bar. What is X double bar? Average of the averages. 20 average you have. You calculate average of the averages. That is X double bar. This X double bar is going to be the center line. This X double bar is going to be the center line. And then compute R bar. Already you have 20 ranges. Calculate the average of the ranges. That is R bar. The R bar is going to be the center line in your range chart. And now I want to calculate control limit. Now control limit, what is the rule we know? Control limit will stay at a distance of 3 sigma from the center line. Right? 3 sigma from the center line. But unfortunately, my subgroup size is small. I cannot calculate standard deviation, just with the 5 data. And when I calculate also, I may not be accurate. So statistician has given a way. You can predict or you can estimate your control chart by using the range value, right? And so formula is derived by making use of the range. This is going to be a better estimate. This is going to be a better estimate, right? So upper control limit for a range chart is D4 into R bar. Lower control limit is going to be D3 into R bar, right? And D3 and D4 are statistical constants that depends only on subgroup size. And D3 into R bar will get you the sigma value. D3 into R bar. Yes, D3 into R bar will be equal to 3 sigma. This will be equal to what? This will be equal to 3 sigma. And similarly, D4 into R bar will be equal to 3 sigma. But since we don't have the sigma, we derive it using the D3, D4 constant. Similarly, X bar chart. The upper control limit will be X double bar plus A2 into R bar. Lower control limit will be X double bar minus A2 into R bar. Now, what is A2? Statistical constant. Again, that depends on subgroup size. And what is A2 into R bar? A2 into R bar will be equal to 3 sigma, right? Since we don't have the sigma, again we arrive on it using R bar value and A2. Now, do you understand the formula?
Yes, sir.
Only thing is you require the statistical values that already I have, already we have used it. And anyway, I will share it again. And see here, for a subgroup size of 5, the value of A2 is 0.577. D3 is 0. D4 is 2.114. And now you plot the control chart and then interpret your result. And now I have all the data in an Excel. And now average is calculated. Average X bar, how do you calculate? You add the 5 value, divide by 5. And range, how will you calculate? Within the 5, find out the maximum, find out the minimum. What is the maximum here within the 5?
Sir,
601.6.
601. And the minimum?
598.
And so the difference is 3.6. Will you be able to do it for all 20 subgroup? One subgroup I have demonstrated. Will you be able to do it for all 20 subgroup?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So this problem will come to you as an assignment. All of you can do it manually by hand, right? And then 20 range, so sorry, 20 average I have, 20 range I have. Now average of the average will give me X double bar. That value is here. Similarly, average of the range is R bar. That value is here. Now the center line is determined. Clear? And now you take a graph sheet. You must first plot the range chart. You must first plot the range chart, not the X bar chart. Why? Because look at our formula. In our formula, for the control limit, upper control limit in my X bar chart involves range also. Am I right? Upper control limit in my X bar chart involves the range also. If the range chart is out of control, if the range chart is out of control, then that particular range should not be used. That R bar value should not be used in your average chart. Where you see any chart is out of control, you must immediately stop the process. You must immediately stop the process and then look for the special cause. Identify the special cause and then fix it. And so what happened? Once you fix the special cause, what will happen? The center line will change. Control limit will change. Everything will change. And that means if the R chart is out of control, the X bar chart, there is no need to plot the X bar chart. There is no need to plot the X bar chart when your R chart is out of control. So that is why we wanted to study first whether R chart is under control or not. So plotting the X bar chart, R chart first is also has a logic, right? And now center line. Center line in the R chart is R bar 2.72. And I am drawing a line. Center line I have drawn. And now upper control limit. What is the formula for upper control limit? D4 into R bar. R bar is available. What is the value of D4? We have seen 2.114, right?
Yes.
2.114 multiplied by 2.72 will give you 5.751. What is the formula for lower control limit? D3 into R bar. What is the value of D3?
0.
So lower control limit is 0. So I am drawing the upper control limit. I am drawing the lower control limit. My center line is ready. My upper control limit is ready. My lower control limit is ready. Now what should I plot in this graph? The ranges. 20 ranges. What is my first range? 3.6. Where is my 3.6? Slightly below 3.75. So first range is plotted. Do you know how the point is plotted?
Yes, sir.
Right. And now the second one, third one, fourth one, and so on. All 20 I am plotting. All the 20 points are plotted. Now you can connect the points one by one in the same sequence. You can take a scale and connect it by a straight line. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and it is like this. Now your control chart is ready. And now you can interpret the result. Now tell me, is this R chart under statistical control?
Yes, sir.
Why do you say statistical control?
Because it's within control limit.
All the points are inside
the limit.
All the points are inside the control limit. But when I finish
Control.
this R chart is under control. When the R chart is under control, you can proceed with plotting the X bar chart. When R chart itself is not under control, there is no meaning of plotting X bar chart. Because what is that R chart is monitoring? The within batch variation. If you are not able to have maintain the control within each batch, my question is, why do you want to compare first batch with the second batch? Question is logical. See, all of you are undergoing the training program. All of you are given the same training, same opportunity, same material. And now I can make all of you appear as same exam, right? But if I show a lot of partiality, for example, some of you get 6 days training, some of you get only 3 days training. Can I compare all of you in the same manner? That won't make sense, isn't it?
Yes.
Same way, when you want to compare one batch with other batch, the variation within the batch should be same. The variation within the batch should be same. The variation within the batch, for that purpose, the variation within the batch should be under control. If the variation within the batch is not under control, comparing the variation between the batch will not have any meaning. So now every point is under the control limit. So the process is considered to be under statistical control. But today, when I finish the session, all of you will change your decision. What decision will change? You will see the same graph, and then you will tell yourself that the process is out of control. But right now it is under statistical control, right? For you to say this process as statistically out of control, no, you have to learn little more. But right now it is statistical control. So what I do is I proceed with the X bar chart. Now X bar chart, center line 600.072. Now formula, upper control limit. What is the formula? X double bar plus or minus A2 into R bar. What is the value of A2? 0.577. You apply this, upper control limit is ready. And similarly, lower control limit is ready. Center line, upper control limit, lower control limit. What will I plot here? 20 ranges. The first range, the second one, third one, and so on. Everything is plotted. Now I will take a scale. I'll take a blue color sketch, and then I have plotted. And now is this process under statistical control?
No, sir.
Why? Because the 8th sample or the 8th subgroup is out of the control limit. And now is it so serious, so important?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right.
That particular page have a low, what we call length.
Come again?
That particular, this page number 8th is having low length. This, I don't know the unit of that average chart.
Yeah. Length is, yes, you are right. The length is very low, and that's why the point has fallen below lower control limit. And now this is definitely critical. Once you understand it is critical, what should you do in the company? What are you supposed to do?
We have to find out the first, what is the reason why it went off. It may be, we have to check the 4M condition and all the things, sir. What happened?
You have to first stop the process.
We need to stop the.
We have to first stop the process.
Stop the process and quarantine the batch.
Beautiful. Stop the batch, or stop the process, and then quarantine, and then fix the problem. Correct? This approach is called stop to fix. This approach is called stop to fix. Suppose,
but what do you tell about that? Now next from page number 9, that is again in the control. So if it is, for example, we have stopped and fixed, so that is okay. If we have not stopped and we don't know, we have realized after some time, and now batch is everything is within the control. So we should not stop.
For example, your process is automated. Your process is automated, right? So no human intervention. And now somehow, through some digitalization, you understand an output is beyond the control limit. You don't, because it is automated, and then you are also not willing to stop. What will happen? Within a certain period of time, now instead of 1 point, lot of points will start coming out. Let us say 10 points are coming out.
And ultimately you have to stop it.
Yeah, ultimately you will stop it, right? So, but suppose typical mindset, generally when we look at the graph, sir, what is this, sir? Only 1 point has came out. Like, why are you, talking too much about it? Let us ignore the data. Let us ignore the data and ignore the sample also. Chalo, let us run the process. Now what will happen within after 2 hours? You will get 10 points coming out. Still you are not convinced. What will you do? You will remove those 10 points also. And then you will again continue. Again, within another 2 hours, maybe 30, 40 points will come out. Again, if you don't react, what will happen? You will come out, isn't it? So somebody is going to will start questioning you. Why are you not taking the action? So as a statistician, as a black belt, this is a strong signal. You can understand, you can consider this as a strong signal. You don't have to wait for so many points to come out. You can stop the process the moment you see a point falling beyond the control limit. Because why I'm saying that it is strong signal? Can you tell me? What is the chance for a point to fall outside the control limit? Can you answer this question?
So this is 0.27% only.
0.27% is happening with your sample. Right? And that too, how many samples you have taken?
5
samples. 5 samples you have taken and you calculated the average. Already you have repeated the process. You remember? Already you repeated, you took 5 samples. And in spite of the 5 samples, the average itself is, still outside the control limit. So that's why I'm telling you, it is a strong signal. You can boldly stop the process. Only people who do not know this, they will, they will wait for multiple points to come out. All right. So it's a strong signal. And now, what is the subgroup number here? Subgroup number is
8.
And subgroup number 8, when which particular day you collected the data?
Second day.
Second day. And which particular shift you collected the data?
Fourth shift.
Fourth shift. And now you pick up the data collection sheet. Day 2, fourth shift, data collection sheet. Will it have some more information?
Yes, sir.
The operator who run the machine while collecting the subgroup 8, the machine that is used, the machine settings, all these things can give you first-hand information. Clear? Whether if something went wrong, and that is your first clue, right? So you go to the spot and then record. If you have the habit of recording everything, then those information will be definitely available. Otherwise, what will happen? You have to change your check sheet. You have to change your check sheet and make your check sheet competent enough to capture all relevant informations. And now both the charts are presented together. And now definitely the process is statistically out of control, which is a big problem now. The within batch variation or between batch variation?
Between batch variation.
Between batch variation. And so that means your process center is tending to shift downward. So what could be the solution to the problem now? You shift the process center upward. But how will you shift it upward? The product length, the dimension, the feature is length. How can you increase the length? What can be done? Whether raw material has to be placed in this manner or that manner, or the cutting tool angle, cutting tool angle should be increased or decreased. You take the wise decision. Somehow the center should be pushed upward. When I push the center upward, my product quality will improve, customer satisfaction will improve. Suppose my R chart is out of control. What should I do? If my R chart is out of control, that means range is a problem. Range is a problem means variation is a problem. Variation problem means process spread is too much. So reduce the process variation, right? So R chart, you must reduce the process variation. X bar chart, you must move the center towards the target. So now do you understand X bar R chart? The subgroup mean allows you to track process center. Subgroup range allows you to track process variation. And see that the range is under control before controlling the mean. And if the R chart is not under control, you no need to plot X bar chart. Don't plot at all. Straight away you stop the process, work on reducing this process variation. Right. So what we do is maybe I think we can take some short break here, right? Maybe some 5 minutes bio break we can take, and then we can continue. So far, all of you understand everything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chart will be inaccurate and may falsely indicate an out of control condition.
Correct. So S chart should be in control. Otherwise, your X bar chart will start giving false alarm. All right. So
Center
these,
lines for average chart equal to X double bar. Average chart USL is equal to X double bar plus A2 into R bar. LCL is equals to X double bar minus A2 into R bar. But LCL is equals to D3 into R bar and UCL is equals to D4 into R bar.
yeah. So this is for the range chart. All right. Actually, for S chart, there will be different formula. And now moving on. For attribute chart, see, attribute means there are two things. Either you will be monitoring the defects or you will be monitoring the defectives. I think already we discussed on this. Defect and then defective. Defect means any non-conformance that is present in your product. Any non-conformance that is present in your product is a defect. But if the presence of defect leads to rejection of the product, your product will be called defective. It depends on what you want to monitor. If you want to monitor the defects, then you have two options, C chart and U chart. C chart and U chart. But on the other hand, you want to control the defectives, then you have two options, P chart and NP chart, where P is proportion defective. P is proportion defective. That means every batch you produce 100 unit. Every batch you produce 100 unit. Out of the 100 unit, 10 units are rejected. So what is the proportion now? 0.1. The proportion is 0.1. 10 out of 100 is rejected. So you can use P chart when the subgroup size is variable. Subgroup size is variable means every time you take the sample, you can take any number of samples. One time you take 100 sample, other time you take 200 sample, other time you take 70 sample. Any number of samples you can take. When subgroup size is variable, P chart. But when subgroup size is fixed, every time you always take only 10 samples. Now you must use NP chart. Do you understand the difference between P and NP?
Yes, sir.
Both are used for defectives, monitoring defectives. When subgroup size is fixed, it is P chart. When subgroup size is fixed, it is NP chart. When it is variable, it is P chart. Similarly, other side, if you are monitoring defects, like for example, every batch, how many defects are coming? Every batch, how many defects are coming? That is what you want to monitor. And now there are two options, C chart and U chart. And you can use C chart when your subgroup size is fixed. When your subgroup size is again a variable, you can use U chart, right? But in both cases, you are monitoring only defects. When the subgroup size is fixed, then it makes sense for you to calculate defects per subgroup. Defects, that means C is actually defect per subgroup. When the denominator keeps on varying and measuring defects per subgroup may not be the right approach. You need to measure defects per unit. The defects per unit will be U, but defects per subgroup will be C, right? So that's the difference between C and U. You can use the C when subgroup size is fixed. When subgroup size is variable, you can use U chart. Now, is this clear? These four charts.
Yes, sir.
Broader classification is defect and defective. Within defective, the classification method is subgroup size. Fixed means NP and variable means P. Similarly here, fixed means C, variable means U. And the formulas are here. You no need to worry about the formula because already know one chart we discussed thoroughly. A P chart is preferred when our CTQ is an attribute. Good or bad, accepted or rejected, okay, not okay. These kind of decisions, right? And these kind of decisions will demand the P chart. And the P chart studies the proportion of defectives in each subgroup and determine whether the process is in control. A defective is a product or a service in which a non-conformity renders the product or service unusable, right? And now I want one of you to read out the question here.
Telephone service center wants to assess whether its call answering system is in control. The total number of incoming calls and the number of unanswered calls were recorded for 21 days. Each unanswered call is a defective. Because the number of incoming calls varies daily, a P chart should be used to analyze the data.
Right.
Data telephone.mt2.
Very good. So question gives everything, right? Generally, question cannot be like this, right? So you have to come find out the kind of control chart. So it's a call center example, and every day the number of calls will keep changing. Am I right? You can't expect a particular number of calls to come to your call center. So one day you might get 100 calls. Another day, lot of customer might call. So subgroup size is going to vary. And every day, if a call is not answered, that is called a defective. Customer is definitely dissatisfied, right? So that is called a defective. So what it leads to a P chart. Do you understand how the P decision on plotting a P chart is arrived? We are monitoring
Yes, sir.
defective. At the same time, my subgroup size is not fixed. And so this, P chart is monitored and P chart is plotted. And now I could see all the points within the control limit. That means my proportion of defective is very well under control. On an average, 9.57% is the defective. Do you understand here? Proportion is 0.09 means on an average, 9% defective is going on. Now you can take up a project. Now you can take up a project to reduce the defective from 9% to 5%. Is that clear? If you take up a project to reduce the defective from 9% to 5%, definitely result will happen. Why are you confidently saying? At least your results are stable. Your results are stable, so improvement is definitely possible. And improvement means what? Improvement means I will bring the control limit further inside. I'll bring the control limit further inside, and then my points will go further towards the center. That is called improvement.
So this control limits looks changing every point, sir.
Yes. Control limit is changing. Why? Because your subgroup size is changing,
Oh. So as per subgroup is changing.
Yeah, now plotting this control chart manually is very tedious. When you have 21 subgroup, 21 calculation required.
Correct.
So better you can use softwares like Minitab or Excel to do the calculation for you, and then you just focus on the interpretation.
Okay.
And now again, as usual, the steps, you can easily read it out. I'll be sharing it. And now can somebody read this problem, an inspection process?
An inspection process checked parts produced for defectives. The total number of parts produced varies every shift. The number of defectives were recorded for 24 shifts. Is this process in control?
Yeah. Now all of you tell me what control chart I should use.
The P chart.
All of you? Is it P chart correct?
Yes, sir. P chart.
For the defective P only possible because subgroup is varying, sir.
Very good. Subgroup is varying, and then we are dealing with the defective. Very good. So you plot the P chart. Same chart again. And now do you see the process under statistical control?
No, sir.
No. There are special causes, right? And now That's how it is. And now the next case.
Manufacturer of smartphones wants to assess whether its process is in control. Sample of mobiles were taken every hour for 3 shifts and tested to see whether they work. Defectives are mobiles that do not pass the test. Is the process in control?
I think here the subgroup size is not declared. You have to look at the data, right? You have to look at the data. But by looking at the data, I understand subgroup size is fixed. When subgroup size is fixed, it becomes the case of a NP chart. You can easily understand. See, the control limit is same. Your calculation will get simplified, right? And now process is looks to be under statistical control. So P chart monitor the fraction of defectives with variable samples. However, NP chart monitors the number of defectives, the defectives for a fixed sample. Right. This problem. Who is going to read out this one? Maybe Sachin can be given some rest. Yeah.
Quality team of a cab company started an improvement project to try to reduce the number of incorrect invoices that is being issued to its customer. The number of defects in invoices for every day is recorded. Is the process is in control?
Right. Now tell me, what is that you are monitoring? Defects or defectives?
Defects.
Defects, right? So it is defects. And then here, the subgroup size, referring the data, I understand the number of invoices could vary every day today. Today, my company generates 10 invoice. Tomorrow, my company could generate 100 invoice. So subgroup size is varying. So under such situation, which control chart I should use?
U chart.
U chart. And once again, the U chart monitors the number of defects per sample. Per sample. Per sample means per unit. What is the number of defects every invoice has got? That is the meaning of U. That is the meaning of U. Why do I monitor defects per invoice?
Because there can be many defects in a particular invoice.
Because my subgroup size is varying. Every day, my number of invoice is varying. Right? And so I measure, I find out a ratio which is comparable. Which is comparable means every invoice number, what is the number of defect today? And tomorrow, what is the number of defects per invoice? I simply don't compare number of defects today and number of defects tomorrow. You know why? Because number of invoices more today and number of invoices less today, less tomorrow. Now there is no point comparing, no talking about the number of defects. Obviously, when you generate more invoices, there will be more defects, isn't it? So defects per invoice requires to be monitored, and that is called U chart. And now this one.
Process excellence team in a bank inspect the transaction. There are 7 opportunities for error in each transaction. 100 transactions are inspected every day and number of errors are recorded. Is the process in control?
Very good. Now, is it you are trying to monitor defects or defectives?
Defects.
Defects. It is clearly mentioned. Every transaction can go wrong in 7 ways, 7 opportunities. Like in your GEMS experiment, 5 opportunities, here 7 opportunities exist. And so you are monitoring defects only, and then every single day only 100 transactions you are checking. Now, can I compare number of defects of today with the number of defects of tomorrow?
It's fixed.
Because today also 100 transaction, tomorrow also 100 transaction, I can compare. So that is the meaning of C chart. Clear now?
Yeah.
Right. And now only thing you need to know is either you should generate the chart in a graph sheet, or you must generate the chart in a Minitab or Excel. You must master at least any one of the technique. And now somebody can read out all the recap points, what we learned.
P chart.
Yes. Please go ahead.
P chart must be used to monitor proportion of defects with variable subgroup size. When subgroup size is constant, NP chart must be used.
Correct.
center lines for P chart equal to P bar. Upper control limit equal P bar plus 3 into square root of P bar
into 1 minus P bar by N,
into 1 minus P bar by N.
where P bar is proportion of defective, N is the subgroup size. Then go ahead.
Lower control limit P bar minus 3 into square root of P bar into 1 minus P bar divided by N.
Beautiful.
C chart must be used to monitor defects by subgroup with fixed subgroup size.
Yes.
When subgroup size is constant, U chart must be used. U chart monitor defects divided by sample.
Beautiful. So now all of you are thorough with the control chart selection. Right?
Yes, sir.
For any situation, one out of the control chart is going to be helpful. Right. Now, how to interpret a control chart for special causes? There are different names available, but if you ask me, you should not trust any of the testing. You should not trust any of the guideline. You must have your own guideline, because you only better understand your process. For example, suppose the children in our house, if they behave in a specific way, will you identify they are trying to do something wrong just with their behavior? There is no written rule, but you know you have your own rule by which you can estimate. For example, if your children want to take leave for the school tomorrow, today itself they will start telling no some symptoms like stomach is paining, or no I don't want to eat the food. Something they will say. So all these with all these symptoms, you can understand they are planning something. Same way, your process will also give you all these symptoms. By seeing all the symptoms, you can understand something wrong is going to happen. It is better you come out with your own rule, but these rules are standard. Even if you follow the rule as it is, sometimes you will go wrong, in my opinion. Don't follow any rules as it is. All that you studied is good. Everything you studied in the training program is definitely good, but finally, you must mix up your common sense, mix up your own knowledge to derive results from your business. So these tests are called Nelson tests. Someone called Nelson created the test. So first test, 1 point more than 3 sigma from the center line. I also agree with him, right? So see here, a point is beyond the control limit. This is a strong signal. You can immediately conclude the process is out of control and there is a special cause. Stop the process, investigate and try to fix it. And number 2, 9 points in a row on same side of the center line. Do you notice 9 points in a row on same side of the center line?
Yes.
Yes.
So these are all indication of a pattern. These are all indication of a pattern. Suppose continuously 3 bench students are not sitting in your class. You know why? The students in 3 consecutive benches, they are not in your class. You know why? They booked a movie ticket. They booked a movie ticket and the entire 3 bench is now vacant. Same way, continuously 9 points are below on the one side only. What we prefer is randomness. Randomness means you should not be able to make any comment. Looking at for example, how the air particles are moving, will you be able to make a comment? Even if you see through a microscope, you can't make a comment. It will be moving just like that. So that way your graph should look like. If you are able to make a comment, please understand something wrong is going to happen. Right? Second rule, 2 rules understood. Now third rule, 6 points in a row, all increasing or all decreasing. Do you see 6 points continuously increasing or continuously decreasing?
Yes, sir.
All the points are inside the control limit. Do you still want to suspect?
Yes, sir.
You are the best judge, right? You are the best judge. But these are all some clues. In their process, they have seen some kind of deviations when these kind of events are happening, right? So this is definitely the thing. And 14 points in a row, 14 points in a row alternating up and down. Up and down is called, no, I said random. But now up and down also not random because it is continuously happening for 14 times. If something is continuously happening for 14 times, and that again, no, cannot be considered as a random. It is considered as non-random. So whenever non-randomness happens, and then, that is an indication of a special cause.
Sir, this up and down, no, it is irrespective of the center line, or how it is, sir?
Yes, irrespective of the center line.
Okay.
Alternating up and down, going up, coming down, going up,
Okay.
coming down. That means you can understand something is really pushing. And the cycle is getting repeated, up, down, up, down, up, down. So what is that something you need to find out?
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
But see, all these rules or the control chart we apply only for critical process, not for every process, right? Because we don't have that much time to do the analysis in any profession. And that too within a critical process, only for critical characteristics only we need to do, right?
Yes.
And then 2 out of 3 points, more than 2 sigma limit. What is 2 sigma limit otherwise called? I have taught you.
95%, sir. 95% score point.
What is the name of the 2 sigma line? Warning line. Warning limit.
Correct.
Warning limit, right? When you see 2 points out of 3 consecutive points beyond the warning limit, that is also a signal. That is, do you notice here? 2 out of 3 are beyond the warning limit. And so that's a special cause. And now 4 out of 5 points. 4 out of 5 points from 1 sigma. Are you able to notice 4 out of 5?
Sir, in that test number 5, I think this is in last condition, sir. That where is the rule number 5 noticed? We have to consider on A point, no?
Come again? No. Come again. 8.
Now 2 out of 3 points should be greater than 2 sigma from the center line, correct? Huh?
Yes.
A zone is my what we call warning zone, correct, sir?
Yeah, 2 sigma. Yes, up to 2 sigma.
Yeah, 2 points should be there.
See, this
2
is
points
where,
should be there on the A. Continuous.
yeah, 2 points are there. You see here. 1 point is here, 1 point is here.
Okay. Got it, sir. Okay.
2 are there. That seems to be on the line, but actually it is slightly above the line.
Okay, sir. Got it.
And now this is 4 out of 5. See, these are all some rules somebody created. I am telling you, you can create similar rules for your process. If you really understood the process, you can create your own rules. For example, if you ask me about my child, I will tell you 100 symptoms that they could behave abnormally, isn't it? Same way for your process, you can create the rules. 15 points in a row within 1 sigma of center line. 15 points in a row within 1 sigma. Everything, closer to the target. That is also a problem.
This is undigestible, sir.
Undigestible. For example, all of you are scoring exam or 80, 81 mark. All of you are scoring exactly 80, 81. All your marks are wavering only between 79 and 81. What does it mean?
Cheating.
all of you are sitting in the same room and writing the exam together. And that is how all of you, some influence that we could predict. Looking at the marks, you could predict all these things. So this is the thing. And now the condition is 8 points in a row, more than 1 sigma. You can see the 8 points here. 8 points continuously, falling above the 1 sigma line. Now, do you understand? Even if all the points are inside the control limit, still we can find problems. There is no end to the problem finding approach. You can always find a problem everywhere, right? That's it. Any questions to me?
Sir, that 7th point.
Yes.
The 7th point, actually, when we narrow down to that, when we use that statistical tool, this kind of charts and all, we need to make that process into a stringent line.
Stringent line means?
we need to control our we need to eliminate the special causes, and we need to narrow down the process.
Yes, true. See, if you get a special cause, you get a
Then we
special
will.
cause. If you get a special cause, immediately you must stop the process. You must find out, like refer to the data collection sheet, and then collect information, investigate why the point has fallen outside the control limit. And then if you understand the cutting tool was recently changed, and then find out which particular cutting tool is used. It is not the regular one. Then you must create an SOP. Hereafter, any tool change should happen only with the consent of maybe the quality manager or something, right? And now hereafter, this similar problem will not happen. Likewise, one by one, you are ruling out all the chances. What are you doing? You are actually reducing the probability of failure by arresting, by keeping checkpoints, by creating SOPs. Slowly, you are reducing the chances of failure. If you reduce the chances of failure, one day your process will become failure free. It will keep on running smoothly. And
Will be stable, right?
yeah, that day you call it it's a stable, because every point is within the control limit. Suppose if every point is within the control limit, now your next goal is how can you narrow down the control limit? How can you narrow down the control limit? When I narrow down my control limit further, what will happen? My consistency of producing products around the target will improve like anything. Am I right or not?
Right.
When my control limit is wider, within the control limit, there is a variation. When my control limit is narrowed, and now the within variation scope itself is reduced, all my products are of superior quality, and you call it world-class quality or best-in-class quality. You can call it whatever name, because everything is around the target. Any other question?
Sir, I mean, a general question, sir, not related to, today's class.
No problem. Yeah.
Six Sigma improves the processes, or improves the profit? Because I got the question in a questionnaire today, yesterday. So I thought it was for improving processes, but the answer showing is, improving profits.
Six Sigma improves both. But if you want me to choose only one, probably I will choose the best one.
Best one is profit or process?
See, why companies, tell me why companies implement Six Sigma.
Reduce variation, sir.
First to reduce defect.
First to reduce defects.
Business, improve business.
Sir, okay, you are the owner. I am asking you, I will either give you profit, or I will give you defect-free products. Which one you want?
Profit.
So if you have to choose one, always go for the best. And these kind of questions sometimes will be confusing. All may seem to be correct. Under such situation, you have to opt for the best.
This same situation occur in the exams, that the exam you gave.
That's why you are
in the first test. In the first test, the question was asked, "What is the first reason to select for Six Sigma?"
Yeah,
in that, the correct answer was reducing waste.
For example, if I want to come to your company as a Six Sigma consultant, if I say I will reduce variation, will you allow me inside?
You will have to ask what you want to reduce.
But I will say I will give you 100 crore revenue. I will double your revenue. I will give you 50 lakh savings. Then probably you may call me. Okay, let us meet this fellow. He is telling something. Come. And then no discussion happens. So the main reason why companies implement Six Sigma is they want to maximize the profit. It is also a profit maximization tool, but it works at the process level. When you go to the process level, it targets to reduce the defect. And how it reduces the defect? By reducing the variation. Because the root of the defect is variation. So reducing variation will actually improve your profit. Clear?
Thank you.
All right.
Sir, how to arrive to the control limits that our static control limits?
Control limits. Just now we have seen all the formulas. Center line plus 80 into R bar or minus 80 into R bar. But general rule is plus or minus 3 sigma.
Yeah, sir. For example, that how much our sample size should be there and everything if we go deep.
See, sample size probably, I told you. Once your question is sample size. See, first of all, you have to collect data in subgroup. You must collect the data in subgroup, right? Because individual sample will not take you close to reality. Always, for example, I want to understand how the class is performing. Randomly picking one student, I may go wrong very easily, isn't it? I pick one student and then he scores just 10 mark. It doesn't mean the training quality is at the worst. No, isn't it? But when I take 10 students or 5 students and look at the average mark, now I am much safer. Am I right?
Correct, sir.
So collect the data in subgroup. That is one clue. And also collect it when you, yeah.
Sir, in that case, for example, if we are having 100% inspection, what I was telling, so we can include all the inspected parts, no?
See,
Because of the machine availability.
generally when the population size is small, then you go for 100% inspection. For example, now how many people are participating in the training program? 22.
Yeah.
I can look into each one of your mark, nothing no difficult. But it is a big university there. No, there are about 15 lakh students are studying. I want to understand how the university is performing. Will I be able to read all the mark to understand?
Not possible.
Not possible. Then I will use a proper sampling technique. I will fix some sample size according to my budget and many things. And then I will try to judge. This is how all of you are based on which only all of you are admitting your child. Unconsciously, you are doing the sampling technique. You are collecting some sample and then you are taking decision. But in your business, you have to justify. And sample size, we are going to teach you. But I have given you a clue. What is the clue? Your decision depends on 4 parameters: sample size, confidence level, power of test, the difference in the statistics. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So once you know all these things, then sample size can be fixed. And there is a relationship. Dr. RK will give you an Excel template and you can feed the certain values, then sample size will come to you. Similarly, Minitab also has got. And now what? Don't worry about sample size. We are going to discuss separately, right?
Okay.
And now, Minitab way of plotting control chart I will tell. But same problem, the data I will probably directly share it in the WhatsApp group. An Excel file I will share it in the WhatsApp group. The problem which I discussed today. All of you please buy one graph sheet, buy a sketch pen, also 3 sketch pen, and then some scale, whatever required you buy. And then plot a control chart for yourself. At least once do all the calculation manually. Then all your questions will get automatically answered. And now for the same problem, Minitab method. Let me get the data. File, open worksheet. And then sample project is there in the sample data folder. And the file name is camshaft. I open. Right. Do you see the data? What we discussed?
Yes,
600, right? Totally 100 data. All 100 data available here. 100 data. And now every 5 is a subgroup. For example, first 5 is first subgroup. Next 5 is next subgroup. Something like that. Now go to stat. Go to quality tools. Sorry, directly control chart. Go to stat. Go to control chart. Variable chart for subgroup. We want X bar R chart. Select that. This is the path. Stat, control chart, variable chart for subgroup, X bar R chart. Selected. And now all observation for a subgroup are in one row or column. Everything, all observation for a chart are in one column, right? All observation for a chart are in one column. And where is that column? Column number 1. I double click. And now subgroup size. What is the subgroup size? 5.
5.
And now all the options, if you want, you can choose X bar R chart. For example, how many tests you want to do? You see, all that we discussed rules are available, right? If you select all the rules, then there will be a lot of red points coming on, isn't it? So depending on the maturity level of your process, you can add condition, right? But always the minimum condition is point going above 3 sigma, right? I have only one condition now. Let me apply one condition and then okay. Now this is the control chart, right? In the initial stages, don't put a lot of condition, right? Then people will get upset, right? Because everything, you know, then you will be able to find a problem for each and everything. So let me see if I add little more condition, let us see what happens. Stat, control chart, variable chart, X bar R. And now everything is there. X bar R option. And the testing, I'm adding all the tests. Earlier there were only one problem. Now there could be multiple problems. See here, these numbers also you can change. That means you can come out with your own rule. If you are working in a company for 20 years, running the same process, can you not identify these kind of rules?
Yes,
And then
sir.
apply your own rule. Okay, and then okay. Now see how many problems are found, isn't it? Do you see a lot of problems now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that's how it is. So if you are a matured black belt, then a lot of problems will become visible to your eyes, right? Always, and it is a never-ending process. You can keep on solving problems to improve your results, to improve your quality, and you can improve your profit. So that's it. I think you are definitely in a better position now. Now, any tool, any topic, any discussion, if it happens, I'm sure you can comfortably learn, everything. And
Sir,
yeah.
In next class, we'll discuss more on Minitab.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yes, sir. We'll explore more questions.
Right. If there is any difficulty happens, probably we can have class even after completion of your black belt training also. Don't worry. Your training gets over by this Saturday, Sunday. Suppose if needed, 1 or 2 classes, we will plan like this.
Right, sir.
Sir, there is no question. Just want to share something. Actually, I have tried to draw the random number for the normal distribution. Okay, suppose 0.5 mean and standard deviation is suppose I have taken 3, and I have drawn the control chart for the random number, and I have applied all the rules, and it was giving the special courses inside. So what you are telling now, it is correct, sir. We should not apply all the rules. That is my this R&D that I am sharing.
Correct. You're right.
It will show in that the normal data also it's showing that our special causes. So it is very difficult to justify that.
True.
Yeah.
You're right. See, if we add more conditions, yes, there'll be more problems. But it doesn't mean that we should not look into every problem. But step by step, initially you can have the major symptoms you can address, and then first of all get all the points inside. So initially, point going outside the control limit, you can work on it, and then you can consider the testings beyond your warning limit. Right? First, you consider that deviations beyond the control limit. Then apply the conditions beyond warning limit. And then you come further inside. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So that way, you are giving some breathing time for your process to stabilize better. So again, as usual, the feedback link, I think it is posted. You can share your feedback because we also parallelly want